El sol cayó, la luna se alza y con ella llegan los mejores sonidos del mundo. Tus sentidos se despiertan y tus oídos solo quieren rock. Esto es Rockline.
gebrochen in tiefschwarze Nacht, in Träumen gesehen. Die Diener der Kirche sind hier, sie zu holen. Rennen sollst du, mein Kind, der Herr hat's befohlen. Sie brennt, nun schwarz ist ihr rotes Haar, niemand mehr Zeit. Geschlagen, getreten, bespuckt und belacht, im Flammen, im Leiden, ein Ende gemacht.
Okay, so let's begin.
Let's start. Ok, estamos aquí en Rockline. Vamos a dar inicio a esta tremenda entrevista que tenemos hoy, una entrevista súper especial con el creador, fundador de una de las bandas más importantes a nivel mundial en cuanto a metal sinfónico se refiere. Yo diría que una banda pionera de este género de una u otra forma y con muchos años encima, una leyenda como es el señor Asis de Haggard. Hoy estamos con Karen Mdozza desde México. Hola Karen, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, hola, muy contenta de estar con una gran leyenda ya en el metal sinfónico. Es un placer. Espero les guste.
Genial. Estamos también con David López. David, hola, ¿cómo vas? David.
Hola, señor Hugo Trejos. Buenas tardes y buenas tardes, por supuesto, también para Karen. Un placer que estemos otra vez reunidos hoy aquí en Colombia el lunes festivo, que estamos haciendo esta entrevista muy seguramente también buena. Y como ya lo dijo usted, pues contentos porque tenemos yo creo que parte de la historia fundadora del metal sinfónico con una de las bandas más representativas de toda la escena a lo largo de su historia, y es el señor Asis, de tremendo monstruo musical, porque es una banda enorme, con unos músicos virtuosísimos y talentosísimos, y por supuesto es un placer contar con Asis, la banda alemana.
La banda alemana Haggard. Vamos a darle inicio a esta entrevista, Karen, preguntándole a Asis, esta es la gran pregunta, ¿no? ¿Cómo surge la idea de crear Haggard? ¿En qué momento él decide crear una banda tan grande? Porque son muchos músicos y pues hacer esta fusión entre música sinfónica y heavy metal. David.
Okay, Aziz, we're going to start asking you for the origins of Haggard and how was born that idea of forming this huge band because you are like 19 musicians in a scene. How was born that idea of mixing this classic musical with metal music and to form a big band like Haggard?
First of all, hi. It's nice to meet you all. Well, the beginning, it was not my goal to end up with 16. I would say like constant musicians, I would say 16. It is not. It was not my goal to do it in the very beginning. Haggard was formed in 1989, so that was last century, and we have been starting as a 4-people band, and since some time I felt some kind of that the means in your hand is not enough to create something new. I wanted to go beyond somehow these 4-people technical death metal, but I did not know how to do it. And coincidentally, I was listening to classical music when I started with like 20 to listen to classical music, and one day there were coming some melodies to my mind, so I wrote them down, and I tried them out, and it developed from 1994 maybe to 96. It developed. It was a huge development, and I was in contact with people and looking for instruments. Unfortunately, also got these musicians. And it was some kind of a transition. You can call it a transition from our old style to the new style. First of all, it was the technical death metal or the death metal stuff, and then it was Haggard with 7 people. It was some kind of a mid-step or some kind of a first level, and then in the end, after 2 years, it was the 16 people constant lineup, and it was not on purpose. Like, hey, I'm doing like 16 people, and then I have a band like Haggard today. No. It was going slowly from. So first of all, there was a violin, a cello, and a piano, and then I felt the need of putting more bombastic elements, putting a soprano, putting a tenor, and then I was looking for those people. Unfortunately, I found them. So it was a slow process with not the goal to end up with 16 people. But it was very exciting because I didn't know where exactly the journey goes to. Okay, it ended up with the 60 musicians and with the typical Haggard style of classical music, metal music, baroque music, and medieval music, and also this is what. Yeah, this is a good direction, I think. This is at a certain point I was satisfied. I felt like, hey, this is the mixture that worked for me. So I didn't want to continue like with 20 people, with 50 people or something. Was not my goal. It was just until everything would make sense. That's it.
Okay.
Ok, bueno, nos decía que cuando comenzó Haggard nunca fue su meta ni su idea tener una banda de 16 músicos, que de hecho cuando en 1989 nació Haggard, nació como una banda de 4 músicos normales, el formato normal de una banda de death metal, que fue lo que él comenzó haciendo cuando estaba muy joven, pero que estudiando y cuando empezó a escuchar música clásica, que era cuando tenía 20 años, dice que por allá en 1994 se le vinieron unas ideas a su cabeza y que decidió comenzar a buscar músicos con el tema ya pues de involucrar los sonidos clásicos. Sin embargo, en esa búsqueda pues dice que nunca tampoco pensó en tener una banda tan grande, perdón. pero sí se armó un proyecto de 7 músicos, que eso fue aproximadamente entre 1994 y 1996, con otros sonidos diferentes, no con la orquestación tan grande que tiene ahora. Y que así comenzó con esto, pero nunca fue su idea, que afortunadamente se conocía o conoció a ciertos músicos y les comentó sobre su idea, y que afortunadamente ellos decidieron hacer parte del proyecto, y fue así como comenzó a involucrar lo que fueron los violines y posteriormente los chelos. Ya después pensó en otro tipo de elementos y de instrumentos, y es así como llegan los tenores, como llegan las sopranos, como llega el piano, y sin pensarlo ya pasó de una banda de 4 músicos a una banda de 7, y posteriormente ya a una banda de 12, 14 y 16 músicos en escena, que fue algo muy excitante, dice él, porque era obviamente cambiar todo el concepto musical de una banda de metal con sonidos obviamente de metal extremo, e empezar a incorporar cosas de música clásica y de otros elementos del metal sinfónico, y que fue toda una odisea, pero que ha dado con músicos pues de muy alto nivel, y que ha sido muy satisfactorio, una experiencia bastante gratificante, pero que sigue recalcando, nunca fue su idea, nunca nació Haggard con una idea de tener 16 músicos en tarima, pero que es lo que se ha venido dando hasta ahora. Y ya dice que prácticamente para finales del 90 es cuando ya consolida a un Haggard con 16 personas en tarima, con toda una puesta en escena y con todo lo que pues representa para la escena del metal el concepto de 16 músicos, que es prácticamente son 2 bandas, una banda de death metal, que es 4 músicos, guitarra, bajo, batería y voz, y 2 guitarras, bajo, batería exactamente, y el resto de toda la parte clásica, que es donde ya intervienen los instrumentos que con el pasar de los años pues fue adquiriendo y fue incluyendo en su performance. Y que eso es todo, que ha sido pues hasta ahora, eso fue prácticamente la historia de cómo llegó a tener Haggard la nómina y el line-up que tiene en este momento.
Ok, Karen.
Ah, como que se me trabó aquí el micrófono. Pero bueno, ¿en algún momento tú imaginaste o llegaste a pensar el impacto que tendría Haggard?
Asis, in any time did you wonder the impact that Haggard would have in the metal history?
Honestly, no. I mean, when you talk about impact, you know, mm, it sounds so important. I think that well, I'm completely aware now about what is the situation now with Haggard, and especially our friends in Latin America, our friends in Turkey. But I never was the person who did guess like, oh, that was the thing I'm doing. This is probably a really, you know, having a really strong effect, a really strong impact on the, you know, whole metal scene or something. Because in my opinion, well, I like to think quite small. Okay, I like to think like, hey, okay, I have my imagination of music that I do, and the fans are the most important for me, the musicians and the fans, of course, the fans, because without the fans we're not able to do what we're gonna do. There are a lot of bands who think like, hey, yes, because we are there, the fans are there. I think, you know, because the fans are there, we are there, so we're allowed to do things. Like, this is not for granted. Everything is not for granted. And I'm not a person that has you know, I'm not putting myself in the focus. I mean, in Haggard, I am in the focus. I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I'm singing, playing guitar, stuff like that. But in general, this big impact on the metal scene, I can see it in the social media. There are a lot of people listening to it. There are a lot of bands also playing symphonic metal, and as far as I saw, there is nobody who is crazy enough to do it with that many musicians. over such a long period. Of course, there are classical projects, but these musicians are not just a project or something, they are integral part of Haggard. It means when you take away the musicians, then there's just one part of Haggard left, of course. So for me, the impact that Haggard has is to bring the whole band without any compromises, without any negotiations. Like you know, there are promoters saying like, hey, you can play in my country, but can you play with 6 musicians and maybe a playback, or can you come with 10 musicians and or 10 people crew? And I say, hey, Haggard is this building, and this is a minimum of this and that amount of musicians. So I'm completely aware about my team. I'm completely aware about what I want. The stuff with the impact is something that maybe you say, that the fans say, but I don't have the, how can I say? I'm not going to say like, yes, Haggard had such a big impact, because who am I? Who am I? I'm a musician who loves his music and also the fans. If I would be one person, like, it sounds a little bit narcissistic, honestly. I don't know if this is the right word in English. To say like, hey, my music had such an impact. The thing is, I want to progress. With the new album, I want to progress. I want to be more classical, more metal, more interweaving sounds, more voices, more, but not too complicated. It must be like in the Haggard trademarks. I will not change any trademarks. You know, there are bands like, for example, they're doing death metal vocals, and then success comes and they say, hey, do we need still to do death metal vocals? Let's do it like soften your voice, or like do it like old like Metallica, or not so much grunting, because then we don't get any airplay. I don't give a fuck about that. There are Haggard trademarks. I have my metal guys. I have my drummer Mauri. I have my guitar player Claudio. I have Giacomo, our bass player. They're metaleros. They need to have the musical punch in the face. And I, on the other side, I have my soprano. I have all the strings. I have, you know, these classical musicians who also like rock, but also enjoy classic. The same way that also the metal section enjoys classic. But of course, the metaleros are metaleros, and the classical musicians are classical musicians. So I want to give them the best of both worlds. This is what really matters to me. Honestly, if this would be not popular in the metal community, or I don't want to say popular, because the thing is that you guys are from Latin America, okay? And in Latin America, Haggard is quite, I would say, people know us, okay? People know us, but I'm very slow, and I'm very laid back with this stuff, like big impact. I hope you can understand me. I love you for saying this, okay? Because I also feel that there's a lot going on in social media. There's a lot of tension about the new stuff, and I just can tell you that it will be a boom when it comes out, okay? Me, for myself, Aziz, as I am in my person, I appreciate to have the chance to do this all, to travel, to communicate with everybody. I'm grateful for it. But I know that there are a lot of bands outside, big bands, small bands, and everybody has its own taste. So when you ask me, in this universe that I am, like with Haggard, you know, in this Haggard bubble, I would not expect it that it's getting so successful that we are allowed to travel all over the world. This surprises me every day. When I check social media, I check myself, well, with my team, but I'm leading, so I read the things. I try to read and translate everything. Sometimes it takes a while, but I don't like bands who have their management sitting in the social media, because fans are asking personal questions, and they want to have the answer of the musician and not the manager or whoever is behind that. So I just can say I'm impressed completely. Even when you see how many years Haggard did not release a new CD. This is a lot of years. So in this constellation, in this context, I see that we have fans that are like a rock. Because I know other bands that maybe did not release a CD for 4 years or something, and they're just gone. They're just gone. Can you remember? Yeah, these guys from whatever years, but they did not release a CD, so they're nobody's mind anymore. And I'm very grateful for having a fan base that is like a rock. I mean, not only Latin America, not only Turkey. I mean, Turkey also, there's amazing amount of people. Also Germany, also Europe, also Asia, China, Japan. Now it starts to also to grow in Korea, South Korea, and stuff like that. I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful. And this is what I'm sure about, is that our fans are like a fist, that they're like a rock. Okay. There's no doubt about it. Okay, this is like, in my opinion, I only run Haggard, but it's the best fan base in the world. Every band says that, yes, but also me. Okay, so I think it's a lot of English text that I told you now, but it was necessary.
Bueno, no sé, le quiero pedir el favor a Karen si de pronto me puede ayudar un poco porque tuve bastantes... le quiero pedir a Karen que si me puede ayudar un poco porque tuve bastantes interferencias y para coger idea central.
Estuvimos muy atentos a todo lo que haces.
Ajá, pero bueno. Básicamente al inicio dice que él no sabría pues si decir o el aceptar el que Haggard haya tenido un impacto. Dice que no le cuesta un poco de trabajo ese tema de decir que Haggard genera un impacto, porque de alguna manera no es una banda convencional, y él dice que se encuentra con comentarios y con buenas opiniones y con felicitaciones y con gente que después de tantos años aún lo sigue, pero que básicamente su idea nunca fue como ese tema del éxito de la banda famosa. Incluso hace comparaciones con bandas que no vale la pena nombrar, que son de otros géneros, sí. Pero dice que nunca fue su idea, es decir, que para él el hecho de hacer música pues lo hace por otra cosa distinta, como a una retribución económica o financiera. Que de hecho cuando lo llaman algunos promotores que si hay alguna manera de poder reducir a Haggard a menos músicos, o de cantar con pista, o de tener algún tipo de pues como de backgrounds o de apoyos atrás, y él dice que no, que él la verdad no se siente, dice así es como Haggard está construido, así es como está hecho, y esto es lo que nosotros hacemos. Creo que sí tiene un mínimo de músicos con el que viaja, tiene una banda pues como base, y digamos que hay cosas que no las llevan, pero que no, dice que para su público y para lo que es Haggard como tal, ya existe algo establecido y que es lo que él quiere ofrecerle a la gente. Hasta allí tuve más o menos clara la idea. No sé si de pronto Karen puede redondear un poco más al final, porque tuve bastante interferencia. Además que me entraron como 5 llamadas y no me dejan escuchar bien.
Claro que habló también del agradecimiento que tiene con los fans, sobre todo por acá en Latinoamérica, Karen. Y también de la esencia de la banda como tal, que es una banda de rockeros, ¿no? Mencionó a sus músicos, a Claudio, que es tremendo guitarrista, y que es una banda con un alma muy rockera, como más allá de esa ambición de fama y todo esto, es el sentir del metal en sí. No sé, Karen, creo que...
Sí, pues que se siente muy, muy agradecido porque aquí en Latinoamérica, pues la mayoría de los metaleros lo conocen, entonces él se siente muy, muy agradecido por permitirle pues ser parte de esto.
Sí, básicamente eso. Y bueno, David, tremendo ejemplo, ¿no? O sea, estamos hablando de una banda que es de una u otra forma pionera del género, de una idea que se gestó sin pensar realmente que el impacto que iba a causar y de una u otra forma cambiar la historia, porque yo considero que tanto Asis como Christopher Johnson en la misma escala de tiempo crean dos grandes e importantes bandas que son los pilares de este género, que es Stereo y Haggard. O sea que cambió la historia de la música, del heavy metal para siempre. Ok, seguimos aquí y ya
Además que,
regresamos,
además,
vamos a escuchar.
además que dijo,
Dime, David. No.
además que dijo que, que si había algo por lo que se sentía agradecido es porque Haggard es una banda que hace muchos años no lanza un CD nuevo.
Sí,
Nos dijo que estaba ya trabajando en algo nuevo, pero que sin haber sacado producciones nuevas desde hace muchos años. Hay gente que sí, quizás como que con algunas bandas no han sacado nada nuevo, ya no los sigo más, pero no, tienen seguidores y dijo, he tenido la fortuna de viajar por todo el mundo y no hablo solamente de Turquía o de Latinoamérica, que es Turquía es donde él está actualmente, pero dice incluso en Alemania, pero también en Corea, en Japón, en China, en Asia, en Europa. Todavía tenemos gente que nos escribe y algo que me llamó mucho la atención es que él dice que maneja sus redes sociales, que maneja las redes sociales de la banda. No tienen una persona contratada, un manager o un equipo de social media, porque hay gente que hace preguntas muy, muy personales de la banda y que a ellos les gusta, el fan quiere escuchar esa respuesta del músico, no de una persona pagada con respuestas preestablecidas. Y que agradecía muchísimo que haya gente que todavía quiera seguir la banda, aun cuando después de tantos años no han sacado una producción nueva, y que él por eso, dentro de la burbuja de lo que es Haggard, dice, para nosotros eso de alguna manera sí genera o nos muestra que hay un impacto, pero no el impacto que la gente se imagina, sino el impacto de saber que todavía hay gente que nos sigue, aunque después de tanto tiempo no hemos sacado material.
Bueno, vamos entonces a escuchar algo de Haggard, per aspera da extra, y regresamos con esta tremenda entrevista con el creador y fundador de esta banda, super banda llamada Haggard, aquí en Rockline.
Solo tocamos éxitos en Rockline.
Aspira a nostra. and knowledge be danger this time. Losing his severity will no longer be alive. I the sacred well in your darkest story you should do. Children of four, Callisto and Roma can name there. For universe to adore.
Vielen Dank. Ich will jetzt gar nicht viel Zeit vertun. Ganz kurz. An der Gitarre der Claudio. Am Kontrabass der Ibiza. Am Cello der Jo. Am Bass der Andi. Am Piano der Hans. Der Mann an den dicken Dingern, der Michi. Unser Zeitgeber am Schlagzeug, der Lutz. An der Violine ebenfalls der Michi. An der Oboe die Agnes. An der Viola die Steffi. An der Violine die Elli. Das ist immer schwierig, weil wir oft unterschiedlich besetzt sind. Ich habe nämlich schon mal welche vergessen. Am Sopran die Veronika. Und am Sopran die Sue. Und jetzt müssen wir ganz kurz was loswerden. Wir sind hier heute angekommen, relativ kurz eingecheckt. Alles war super, alles war geil organisiert. Das Catering ist wunderbar, die Leute sind geil drauf. Die Security ist nett. Man muss es echt sagen, es ist super organisiert. Erstmal ein großes Lob an die Veranstalter, weil das muss sein. Die Techniker sind super. Ey, es ist so. Wir haben schon auf anderen Festivals gespielt. Und jetzt...
Uy, qué calor tan perro.
Ok, con ese calor tan perro que está haciendo aquí en Colombia, no sé en Turquía, con Asis, regresamos a esta entrevista en Rockline, después de escuchar tremenda canción, Per Aspera da Extra, que es uno de los clásicos de Haggard, de ese concierto que hicieron en el Wacken 2007, creo que es ese concierto. Y bueno, continuamos aquí con esta entrevista, David, ahora para preguntarle Asis, ¿cómo así? ¿Cómo es el proceso de composición en Haggard? Uno se pregunta en una banda tan compleja, tan grande, ¿cómo hace Asis para componer la música de Haggard? Pues ya sabemos que está trabajando en un nuevo álbum después de muchos años, pero por lo menos esas grandes obras que realizó, como sus dos primeros álbumes, sus tres, perdón, creo que el último fue Tales of Etheria. ¿Cómo hace Asis para componer para tantos músicos y tremenda música que es la de esta banda, David?
Okay, Aziz. There's something that it's very curious for us, and it's how is the process of composition of the music for that big amount of musicians? I mean, you are 16 musicians on stage, and how difficult is or how is the process of the composition? I mean, you compose of the music for the musicians. Is there any help from out there? There's a composition between all the band. How is the process of composition? Because
Well,
you
first of
are
all,
a very big band.
first of all, there's an imagination about, let's take a song like, I don't know if you know the Hermanos Grimm. See, Hermanos Grimm.
Los Hermanos Grimm, the tales of the,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
The
when you have a tale, for example, you have a certain sketch, a certain design of the fairy tale itself. First of all, the story. Like I can tell you, it was the same. Well, it was a little bit different with Galileo Galilei, because he's a historic person. So there are a lot of facts that you cannot twist and that you can pick or you cannot pick. But first of all, the topic must be interesting for composing music about this. So in the Hermanos Grimm, the one fairy tale is for me is some kind of a suggestion. So I modified some unlogic parts of the fairy tale. So I have the story, más o menos, the tale of it. And then you do, this is the way I work. I have certain lyrics to this fairy tale. So I don't like it when you do the music, and you have one beautiful part, and then you select which way where you put it. For me, it's different. The story matters. We begin the story. And in Haggard's music, there is always one dramaturgia.
Dramaturgia.
Yeah. You need to keep it. You cannot do like, for example, a longer song without ups and downs. The dynamics must be perfect. Also, the dynamics in composing. So you start a song. And first of all, I write some kind of lyrics. They're not the final lyrics, but they must reflect a certain feeling in this moment. So it's like to do a film. You can compare it with doing a film. You have your story in general, like how you want the film to be, and then when the story is very clear, okay, here comes the protagonist, and then there's a fight, and then here is some kind of a whatever, and like your order of things, and then you go and you make the dialogues, and this is how I do in Haggard. So I write the lyrics. And to these lyrics, I mostly compose the music. So I'm not doing now. I think there are hundreds of different parts of different pieces. I'm not going like a puzzle. I go like from my feeling. What kind of piece does sound the best? When a fairy tale starts, for example, let's start with Snow White, okay? ¿Cómo se dice? Blanca Neva.
Blanca Nieves.
Snow White.
Blanca Nieves.
Okay. Disculpe. And you have this part in the beginning where the storyteller says something. So I would not do it in metal. I would do it in acoustic. Okay, I would reflect the metal and the general metal set-ins and the dramaturgia and the acoustic from the dramaturgy. Okay, and then it's very when it's clear in which key it's gonna be written, in which music key it's gonna be written, because there are some keys that how can I say, there are some keys that are good for certain atmospheres. Okay, okay, this is too much. I start with the lyrics, do the music with it. And mostly in the beginning, I record it in my computer, and I do the how can I say, the guitars. I can do the bass. I also have a bass here, so I can also play it as a pilot, and make the accents very clear. Okay, just for me to have the flow of the eventual song. Normally it never stays the same. And then I start to compose the parts. So I don't have it's not like I have hundreds of parts and I put them together as a puzzle. Everything happens on purpose. Okay, and when I was composing when the whole track is done, in the very end, of course, I show it to my musicians, and they can say, hey, okay, here, for example, should be some timpanis, and maybe here could be cool to make the flute 1 octave higher. So, of course, they have knowledge and they have their opinions, and they're integrated. But it's not like we sit all together and we think about, okay, what can we do? And the one says, hey, we start with acoustic, and the other says, we start with this. So this is decided by me. The lyrics are written by me, and the melodies, the main melodies, and also the decision where to play piano or where to play cembalo or church organ, is decided by me. But of course, Hans, he's writing his parts. He's asking me, hey, what would you like to do? I show him the pilot on guitar, or on scores, or on whatever, however we transmit it, and he's gonna work the part out. Okay, and he also has the freedom to do some turns in the part. Okay, he's not limited to, but here you have to use exactly that chord and that harmony. Everything has to be to make the song shine. Okay, but it's very clear. It's very clear what happens at which time. This is very clear. And then okay. Also I compose, for example, the cello, I compose the viola, I compose the violin. The parts is, there are strings and then timpanis and then soprano and choir and whatever. But before we record it, I completely talk it with my musicians. And if they say, hey, wow, okay, here maybe we should check out here, this is not very clear, and this and that. Only works like that. It never, I'm not a professional in playing all these instruments, but they are professionals in playing these instruments. Also singing, like very clear, I'm not a soprano, so I know the range of my singers, and I can write it. But in the very end, they can say, hey, at least a suggestion. Let's take let's do it like that. Let's do it like that. And then we change the scores and we listen. Well, first of all, pilot is everything in the computer, so we get a clue. And when it's cool, what comes out from, we have big libraries, so the classical music sounds good, and also the drums and the guitars and everything. Can be played into the computer. So you also today you have the chance to I sent my files to Mauri, my drummer, and he has an electric drum kit, and he's doing it with real drum sound, sending it to me. And when everything is cool, then we go to recording in real in the studio. But this pre-production is necessary, otherwise we would be like for ages in a real studio, wasting time, wasting money for nothing. So this is the general composing. The general composing momentum is that I do it, I give it, yes. But then there are parts that I walk through the forest and they come to me, and I say, hey, this is the perfect part for this situation in this fairy tale, for a Pursi Move, for Berat Astra. There are parts that come when I drive car. They fly to me. So I have to separate between the magic parts. They come and they shoot at me, and I need to catch them. And I also need to get my mobile and record them immediately. They're very intense. And in these moments when the parts come to me, they can also have multiple voices. They can be multiple. There can be cello and viola and violin in one, but I hear the part and I need to separate it. I need to separate the cello line. This is a bit of a problem, because when I focus too much on one of the parts, it's likely that I forget the other part. So I need to get the whole construct and sing it on my mobile phone, and then I need to find out what the whole what the single melody is. That, like, these are two worlds. The one is to compose on purpose. The other is to get some inspiration in my head just by doing things and not thinking about music, and the melody suddenly appears. And every CD is a combination of these both worlds. You know, it's a combination of purpose and not on purpose, of parts that you play with your guitar and you say, hey, this melody is cool, let me modify it. Okay, this is the violin, this is the viola and everything. And also the other side, that I'm in the forest or I'm wherever, and the melody beats me, and I suddenly start to sing it, and I say, hey, fuck, where's my where's mobile phone? And I need to catch it. I had the situations that I got melodies and my mobile phone was out of battery. So
Okay.
can you give me your phone? And yes, do you need to make an emergency call? I said, no, I have a melody in my head and I need to call my answering machine. They gave me their mobile phone. I called my office. Of course, nobody was there because I was outside. And I was singing these melodies on the answering machine and giving back the mobiles, and they were really looking like, I cannot believe that, what you did. But this is my way of catching these melodies, because this momentum, this shiny moment can appear wherever. Maybe it's called inspiration, maybe it's called in the sunlight of music, maybe, I don't know how to call it. I see it as some kind of gift that somebody gives me, sends me. Maybe it's created in my synapses. They're just doing it by themselves and claim that I claim, or I think that they're coming from somewhere else. I don't know how the human mind is too complex to say that. But these are regularly the collection work and also the composing work is that I do the song very clear, the lyrics, and it can be until the last moment in the studio, until we finish the recording, do the mix downs, everything can be changed always. There were parts that I was changing at the end of the production. I said, hey, this part must be in the beginning of the song. And my producer was like, are you kidding me? I said, no, but now that I hear the whole construct, this part must appear also in the beginning of the song or whatever. And to avoid these kind of surprise moments, everything is recorded in Pro Tools, and libraries are so good today that you can get a very clear imagination of how it's gonna sound. Okay, and then at the very end, the producer also has to say something. The producer can say, but this moment, I don't know. And everybody in Haggard is happy with it. And he says, no, you cannot do it like that. And he's the additional musicians. He has equal rights to say, hey, we need to change this one part. And this is how it combines. That's how Haggard songs are created.
Okay.
Okay. That's
A
very,
lot of work.
this is going to be a very interesting answer for musicians, because I was wondering to myself, how many brains Asis have? My God, to do all what you do, it's amazing.
That's right. Era una pregunta necesaria. Necesaria en esta entrevista con tremendo maestro. Ok, dime, David.
Para sintetizarla, porque pues es el proceso, aunque él dice que pues lo hace parecer simple, la verdad sí es bien complejo. Sobre todo, yo creo que es una respuesta que para los músicos va a ser bien interesante. Yo creo que para Karen debe estar allá lambiéndose.
Está apuntando, yo la veo que está apuntando.
El caso es escribiendo en el cuaderno. Bueno, dice que la música de Haggard, o el proceso de composición de Haggard, comienza como un cuento, como los cuentos de hadas. Cuando tú tienes un cuento, cada parte debe tener un propósito. Entonces tú arrancas pues con la historia y vas ingresando personajes, y cada personaje tiene un propósito, no es ir agregando cosas por agregarla. Entonces todo comienza con el proceso de composición de letras. Él dice, él comienza su cuento de hadas con las letras, y posteriormente ya empieza a incluir todo lo que son los protagonistas o los personajes, que en este caso viene siendo la base melódica, la base rítmica, y regularmente siempre arranca con la base de metal. Es decir, cómo este cuento de hadas comenzaría con la banda de metal. Y después empieza a meter ya, a decir, bueno, no es tener, no sé, 400 partes y ponerlas porque sí. Cada parte debe tener un propósito. Entonces, todo lo que él compone a nivel, por ejemplo, de teclados, porque dice, yo puedo tener un teclado de coro catedral o de coro de iglesia, pero puedo tener también un teclado atmosférico, y puedo tener también un piano, pero cada uno debe tener una intención. Entonces, conforme él va haciendo el cuento de hadas, va incluyendo todas estas partes musicales. Que su proceso de composición es bastante creativo, y sobre todo dice que es un don que vino de alguna parte, porque la idea o la inspiración de algo puede venir en cualquier momento. Entonces, dice, por ejemplo, él que a veces viene en el carro, creo que fue el caso de Extra, que venía en el carro y se le vino a la idea y tuvo que inmediatamente buscar dónde apuntar, porque se le vinieron ciertas partes, y él dice que su cerebro trabaja de tal manera que si se enfoca en una sola parte, se olvida de las otras. Entonces tiene que o llamar a su oficina corriendo, buscar el celular y grabar, o llamar a la contestadora de la oficina por si no hay nadie, y dejar el mensaje allí de lo que tuvo en su cabeza para el otro día ir, esto es así, esto es así. Entonces regularmente dice, mi proceso comienza con eso, con hacer las letras. La letra obviamente cuenta una historia, él se basa mucho en la dramaturgia. Dice que toda la música y las letras de Haggard están muy inspiradas, por ejemplo, en los cuentos de los hermanos Grimm, o en el caso de Galileo Galilei, pero que Galileo Galilei pues son cosas mucho más de hechos, más cosas ciertas, y pues obviamente probadas y comprobadas, pero que en el caso suyo se basa muy en toda esta parte de la dramaturgia y de este encanto, de esta magia literaria. Y para resumir todo, hace letras, posteriormente se va al estudio y comienza a incluir los instrumentos. No es profesional tocando todos los instrumentos, porque dice que no, pero que sus músicos sí, pero tiene idea de cómo hacer notas para un cello, para una viola, para los violines, que conoce con exactitud cuáles son los rangos vocales de sus cantantes, y compone pensando en lo que ellos pueden hacer. Se sienta en el estudio, todo lo hace en su computador, porque sería una pérdida de tiempo hacer toda la parte de trabajo de instrumentación en un estudio con instrumentos reales, porque mientras el proceso no esté grabado y ya esté en proceso de masterización, cualquier cosa puede cambiar. Entonces, todo lo hace en un computador. Obviamente tiene una librería enorme con sonidos de orquestas clásicas y también de baterías, de percusiones y otra serie de instrumentos que utilizan, de muy buena calidad, y hace una maqueta, y cuando la maqueta ya está lista, llama a sus músicos y les muestra, esto es lo que en mi cabeza se creó. Y cada uno tiene la libertad, desde su experticia y desde su campo operativo del instrumento que ejecuta, el empezar a sugerir, bueno, en esta parte podríamos incluir esto, o a nivel vocal podríamos hacer este arreglo, o podríamos hacer estas voces, y ya cada uno tiene la libertad. Él dice que ninguno está coartado o limitado a hacer lo que él diga, aunque él es el que compone prácticamente todo, pero todos tienen la potestad y el derecho de poder opinar y decir, esto se puede hacer. Incluso, él dice que músicos que son de pronto contratados para sesión, simplemente para grabar ciertas cosas que no son parte de la banda, que son espontáneos o esporádicos, tienen la libertad y los derechos también de decirle a él, sería bueno hacer esto. Y él todo lo toma en consideración, aunque todo salga de su cabeza. Y básicamente, dice él, ese es el proceso de composición de Haggard. Es un cuento que tiene muchas partes, pero todas las partes, por más pequeñas que sean, cumplen un propósito y un papel para dar esa intención, esa atmósfera y cumplir una función específica dentro de la canción, porque él dice que las canciones de ellos son muy largas y que tiene que tener altas y bajas, pero que no puede tenerlas por tenerlas, que todo debe tener una intención y llevar al oyente en esa narrativa como una película. Él dice, así se hace una película. Tú haces una película, escribes un guión y después vas incluyendo los personajes y entonces vas las escenografías y las locaciones y todo lo demás. Y todo tiene una intención. Prácticamente es el mismo proceso, que así es como se crean las canciones de Haggard. Y debo decir que este señor es un genio.
Sí, 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 es verdad, un maestro. Bueno, Karen, vamos finalizando esta entrevista por pues, ya cuestiones de tiempo. No sé, ¿tú tienes alguna última pregunta? Preguntarle sobre spoilers o alguna cosa, no sé, Karen.
Sí, que nos cuente qué nos tienen preparado para el próximo año o qué podemos esperar de Haggard próximamente.
Okay, Asis, you just said a couple of minutes before that right now you're working on the new album from Haggard, and I don't know if you can make us a little bit of a spoiler and what the fans can be expect for 2021. What are cooking right now? You're on your studio. What's going to be the thematic or the lyrics, the stories in the new Haggard production, because people around the world that are fan of the band are expecting this from so long ago, and it's so exciting to have a new production of Haggard.
Well,
What's going to be in your mastermind?
it will be Hermanos Grimm fairy tales. It still is, yes. It still is the topic. So there's not nothing has changed in this. The thing is that you want a spoiler? Let me see.
How much songs, for example? How much songs it contains?
It's gonna be 12 songs.
Okay.
There will be longer ones, but also there will be. This is really a surprise. There will be also another special to it, but the Haggard songs will be 12, but does not mean that it's 12 fairy tales, because the fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm are some kind of you can compare it to a zip file. When you have a file into a zip file and it's very comprimated, and you just extract it, it can get really huge. And the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales are so successful sorry, because they're written in a very comprimated way. Like side places, describing of places, describing of nuances are not happening there. This is just pure story to the bone, and that's why they are so successful, because you don't need to when you tell a fairy tale, it is always the most how can I say, the information level is always the highest. Okay, so it means that you have a story like Red Riding Hood. You have on a few pages written, you know, Red Riding Caperucita Roja. You have it on a few pages. You read it, and it's only the relevant info. Everything there's not a lot of description of the places where it plays. There's not. It's not. Of course, it's a comprimated fairy tale, and it's not some kind like one novel or something like that. You know, it's not something that is very poetic. You know, the language itself is poetic, but the description is very how can I say, it's also not with a lot of emotions. It's just sometimes it's really written really some kind of unempathic, just very neutral what happens in the fairy tales. Okay, like one description. This is what I wanted to say. When I do the music, then I need to open this. And for example, in the, you know, Hansel and Gretel,
Yeah.
the fairy tale, yeah,
Yeah.
and Hansel is collecting the stones from the floor that he is throwing on the forest floor when they are brought to the forest. And this moment that he's collecting the stones is just a few sentences. You read them in a few seconds, but musically, he's collecting these little white stones that are completely unimportant to everybody, because there are so many of them and they're on the floor. But for him, this is his ticket back. This is his some kind of his rescue that saves him. So he's collecting them. But you cannot say in the musical way or in the poetic way, you cannot say he's just collecting the stones. You need to have how can I say, to display very clear that these stones are like a treasure to him. They're like a treasure, because he knows that when he don't collect the stones, when he does not find them, maybe they will not return home because they don't find the way back. So for me, it's very clear that these stones are not just little white things that have minerals inside. The moonlight shines on it, and they shine. No, there's some kind of the rescue of the children. You know. Now only this part. He's collecting the stone, and the description of the whole scenery of his feeling takes much longer as you read the fairy tale. Yeah, so everything also when they come to the witch's house, for example, it is so much more. I mean, generally you cannot I modified the fairy tales. I modified them, and for me it was clear from the very beginning, like 2010 or 11 when we announced it, that the fairy tales sometimes does not make sense in these fairy tales. And for me it's always a good feeling when something has a legend or a past, when something is there for a good reason and everything is some kind of logical. So it means that all of the happenings in the fairy tales, I wrote them over and over again, and I make my notices what is some kind of maybe not logical, or what needs a little bit more description. Of course, the purists of the Grimm fairy tales, they would nail me on the cross supposedly for that, because for them this is blasphemy to touch these fairy tales. These are not no essential changes, but I mean, let me say, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's not only about writing the music. It's also about some kind of, for myself, straightening the fairy tales, or maybe also add another protagonist in these fairy tales. I mean, this is now really, well, yes, also I modified them, but not like completely that you don't know it's Hansel and Gretel. Everything is the same. The essence of the fairy tale is the same.
Okay.
But also,
Okay.
you know, you have two possibilities. You take the fairy tale as comprimated as it is, and you just write some music, and you create the lyrics more or less out of the story that is written in 6 pages. You take your stuff and you write it, or you rip off the full package and everything flies around and everything, you know, and you start messing with it in the poetic way.
Okay.
And how definitely something that of the second. I'm not going to, you know, in other cases the CD would be on the market since long years, but I also have to say that it's a challenge. I started also, well, there were already songs that have been tossed to the trash because they were like Haggard, but for me, they did not hit the exact point of this. So for me, this is like a matter of honor, because the Grimms are such amazing authors and collectors of fairy tales. I mean, there's so many that they did not write themselves. They just collected them and they modified them, and they did it in an amazing way. I have to say, I was growing up with these fairy tales. My mommy told me the Grimm's fairy tales when I was little. So for me, everything must be really, really perfect. But we're at a very, very late stadium. The stadium is very late. I'm thinking about several ways of performing these fairy tales. You can do it. You can do it with a live concert. You can do it with only the classical music that is, but recomposed only for orchestra. You can put a storyteller in the middle of the circle and the orchestra around it, and he can read the fairy tales, and orchestra plays the melodies. Okay, and on the next day there's the rock concert, or you can vary it in a lot of ways. For me, of course, the first priority is the main Haggard album, like our music is. And in the second, I'm thinking about a few surprises for the fans, and I cannot spoil them because these are sometimes complicated things. Well, for me at least, connected to a lot of goodwill with other people, because I want to have also for the live presentations, also for the studios, I want to have also, you know, classical musicians who are big in Germany. So I need to check if this is possible, because there are so many classical musicians, professional, worldwide known classical musicians that would love to do some kind of stuff. And I don't want to call it metal opera because it's Haggard. It's not metal opera. It's not like one I don't know, one creation of yeah, I don't like this. It's definitely in the Haggard style, and also in the typical, well, I don't want to call it Haggard quality, is not a good word, but you know what I mean. This is like quite
for sure.
in our trademarks, in our ways, but something new. It's not a Percy Molve with fairy tales. This is what I mean. So there will be a lot more going on, a lot more metal going on, a lot more classical classical going on, also medieval and baroque and everything. I like here in Germany we have a word, opulent. I don't know if it's
Oh, yeah, in Spanish it's
Somos tu conexión con el rock.
Ok, David, pues bueno, ya está entrando Asís de nuevo. Puedes iniciar la traducción.
Bueno, para recopilar todo lo que su maquiavélica cabeza y cerebro tienen condensado, básicamente dice que no quiere hacer como mucho spoiler, pero básicamente tiene, el álbum que viene cuenta con 12 canciones, algunas más largas que otras, cosa que ya Haggard nos tiene acostumbrados. Que los cuentos de hadas, los hermanos Grimm siguen intactos, allí van a estar, sin embargo, también tiene otro tipo de matices, obviamente narrados y contados en la manera poética que tiene Haggard de hacerlo. Ellos dicen que sin eso no podrían, que básicamente cuando tú compras un libro, un cuento, tienes la opción de leer el prólogo y que el prólogo te puede decir mucho del libro y ya tú decides prácticamente no leerlo porque te cuenta parte de lo que es el libro, o definitivamente leerte todo el libro y sumergirte en todo el universo y en todos los matices que te van contando el libro. Y ponía el ejemplo de Hansel y Gretel, de cómo Hansel tiraba o recogía las piedritas del piso para pues devolverse, encontrar el camino hacia su casa, y mucha gente no le daba relevancia a las piedritas, simplemente eran piedras que como muchas están tiradas en el suelo, pero que Hansel lo veía como su tiquete de vuelta y que era como su tesoro, era el poder regresar a casa, el recoger esas piedras, y que esa es la manera bonita en la que Haggard está acostumbrado a contar las cosas a través de la música y que eso nunca lo van a perder, que está presente y que aparte pues estas características también tiene unas sorpresas que está planeando, pero que no quiere dar nombres, porque dice que se le complica el tema de anunciar cosas que quizás después no se pueda concretar, porque dependen de músicos muy especiales con los que él quiere trabajar, sobre todo del mundo de la música clásica en Alemania y alrededor del mundo, pero que por el tema de sus agendas y pues de su disponibilidad de tiempo, él no quiere comprometerse, pero que es gente con la que definitivamente le encantaría poder hacer algo, sin decir que Haggard hace metal ópera, porque dice que no le gusta ese término, que Haggard no hace metal ópera, que prefiere llamarlo de otra manera, pero no metal ópera, sin embargo no quiere sonar pues displicente al decir que no lo hace, pero que es el sello de Haggard, es a lo que Haggard está acostumbrado, tiene acostumbrado a su público y eso seguirá estando presente, y que básicamente esa es la consigna para la nueva producción discográfica que se viene después de ya casi 8 años en haber anunciado que Haggard estaba trabajando en una nueva producción.
Ok, bueno, entonces, Asís, what happened with your camera?
No, un momento. Un momento.
Ok,
Um,
vamos.
Dios, ¿cómo se dice? Ataque terrorista en Viena, en Austria.
Oh, qué mal.
Sí, es muy mal.
Oh my
Tengo
God.
muchos amigos en Viena. Un
Ok,
momento.
vamos
ok.
entonces despidiéndonos, David, no sin antes agradecerle este tiempo a Asís.
How long do you do the video?
Agradeciéndole pues el tiempo que nos dedicó, esperando pronto noticias de Haggard, de su nuevo álbum y bueno, los mejores deseos para esta banda y fue un placer y un honor tener a este maestro de el metal sinfónico, digámoslo así. Dice que no le gusta que le digan ópera. ¿Qué fue lo que dijiste, David? Que no...
No le gusta el término metal ópera, no, él dice que Haggard no hace metal ópera.
Ok, metal sinfónico, dejémoslo ahí. Ok, y bueno, mil gracias a Asís.
Okay, Aziz, we are really thankful with you to share this time with us and to let us be
It's over?
no a little bit more. What?
It's over?
Yeah,
Nito?
yeah. I'm gonna tell you what. The thing is that we just finishing this interview with you. We are going to connect with Mike Terrana. He's waiting for us to do another interview.
Tell him greetings. Tell him greetings.
Okay.
For sure we will. Actually, he's writing to us.
Okay. He's speaking
Okay.
in the beginning of Tales of Eteria. It's his voice. So tell him greetings.
Algunas palabras para los fans en Latinoamérica de Asís antes de irnos, David. Un saludo en español. Es que saquen sus raíces mexicanas, ¿no, Karen?
Sí.
Dígame.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Asis, really, we are really thankful, and thank you so much for being here with us on our show and to let us know a little to know a little bit more about Haggard. I gotta say, you are master brain, you are a mastermind,
Thank
you
you.
are a genius, and Haggard, it's simply amazing.
We're gonna meet very soon.
Yeah.
Yes,
For
we're gonna
sure.
meet very soon.
And you gotta say goodbye in Spanish. Let us a salutation in Spanish for Latin people. It would be good.
Okay, what do you want me to say?
Whatever you
Wherever
want.
As a final
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
To say goodbye to Latin people in Spanish.
Okay, fans de Latinoamérica, muchísimas gracias por su apoyo, por su amor. Es un placer para mí. Muchísimas gracias por todo, y hasta muy pronto. Corona es un hijo de puta.
Sí, debe morir. Okay, Asis. Thanks so much.
Okay,
I see you in the future.
See
Thanks, man.
you.
are you gonna send me the final link so I also can promote it for you? Well, for us.
Okay, yeah, David.
Okay.
Yeah, of course we will. Just text Hugo
Okay.
and just agree.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye,
Goodbye.
Asis.
Okay,
Bye.
Asis, bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay safe.
You also.
Take the greater part of the region where fear can stay down. The great one will cause it to be dragged into an iron cage, and the German child will observe nothing. This waste of it, I can't take time to look the back. I'm some darkness, the sky, let's go set, instead, time has energies of happiness. Welcome to the land of God, the whole centuries, so I will be mine. My hands, my body, my sky, the love of sadness, so I will be mine. Thank